two of the justices of the Supreme Court should not be sent to Supreme Court. So, should we stand by that report and then tell them that they cannot be made Supreme Court judges?
We have details from the committee's report.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone. Now, Parliament's Appointments Committee is tonight blocking President Akufo-Addo's nomination of 2 judges to the Supreme Court. The President nominated 4 judges, Justice Barbara Francis Akayensu, Samuel Akufo-Addo, George Kingsley Kumsing, and Ernest Yao-Gewu to the Apex Court. And we're all vetted in July. Many months later, Joe News is now learning, having secured exclusive access to the Appointments Committee's report, now understands that only 2 convinced the committee they've earned the right to receive parliamentary approval. The 2 are Justices Barbara Francis Akayensu and Samuel Akufo-Addo. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante joins us on the telephone line with more on this unfolding story. Why did it take so long for the committee to present this report?
So, our understanding is that the committee has been trying to get some consensus on the other 2 nominees who have had some issues regarding Justice George Kingsley Kumsing and Justice Ernest Yao-Gewu, who have some issues. We know Ernest Yao-Gewu has an open affiliation to the New Patriotic Party. He was their parliamentary candidate in the constituency in the Volta region for 2 times, and he also held some regional positions at that. Also regarding Justice Kingsley Kumsing, there were issues having to do with his chairmanship of a committee that looked into the drug disturbance that had our colleague Erastus Asaridonko at the heart of some of the reporting. So the vetting having been concluded for that long, there were discussions in terms of how to deal with these 2 specific nominees. But for some time now, the conversations had lagged on for a while. There was no agreement. And so the committee now has decided to bring the 2 that has consensus for approval, but the other 2 still stays in the cold.
But do we know why the other 2 were cleared?
So the committee details the specifics why they thought that they were satisfactory in terms of the performance before the appointment committee to be approved. And let me read you the conclusion of the committee's report. It says that the committee, in the light of provisions of the Constitution, considered their knowledge of the law, and they showed character and competence. They pledged to interpret the law without fear or favor and eschew partisanship in their ruling. The committee therefore recommends to the House by consensus the approval of Justice Barbara Francis Akayensu and Justice Samuel Akufo-Addo as justices of the Supreme Court. So these 2, the committee looked at a myriad of issues, and you need to look at the report. It lists all the specific questions that these justices were asked, their responses, and the committee concludes that they see them satisfactorily in terms of their competence to be on the highest court. It appears the other 2 judges whose reports have not been now made before Parliament will have to stay there for a while the committee tries to get some consensus on their nomination.
And I recall, Kweku, that a few months back we had spoken to the Minority Chief Whip, Mensah Mubarak, who gave an indication of some of the issues they had that they believed needed to be resolved going into the vetting of these judges.
Indeed, according to the Minority Chief Whip, Mensah Mubarak, who is also the deputy ranking member on the Appointments Committee, the committee, by majority decision, did not agree that those 2 judges should be cleared to go on to the highest court of the land. However, 2 have been cleared. And so he gave a certain indication that some conversations were ongoing before the report will be laid.
The current Appointments Committee, by majority, have said that the 2 of the justices of the Supreme Court should not be sent to Supreme Court. So should we stand by that report and then tell them that they cannot be made Supreme Court judges? But we are waiting to report to the House because it means a recommendation from the committee. But I can tell you, 2 of the justices, the committee says no, we don't think they are fit to go to a Supreme Court. But that will mean a recommendation. We bring it to plenary and then plenary take decisions. Almost all committees of the House, I know.
Thankfully, Muntaka Mubarak joins us on the line right now. I mean, rarely do you see this happen when it comes to Supreme Court nominations, and he joins us to clarify what the situation is. Mr. Mubarak, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Yeah, very much, and good evening to you and your listeners. Sorry.
I noticed in the report that you are very silent on the nominations of Justice Barbara Francis. Mr. Kumsing, the other judge in question, George Kingsley Kumsing, and Ernest Yao. Why is that?
Well, let me say that if you have been following how reporting from appointments committees had always come to the House, you understand this, how we do it. You remember when we vetted the ministers, those that had consensus will all be lumped in one report, and those that could not get unanimity will also be put on a different committee. Because for those with unanimity, based on our standing orders and our practice, we do not need to go into voting. We'll just use voice votes. But those that there is no unanimity, in conformity with Article 104 of the 1992 Constitution, will have to go through secret balloting to determine their fate. And you saw that in the case of the Minister for Agric, the Minister for Fisheries, Minister for Information. So you have to vote on those ones by secret ballot. So in this instance, because there were unanimity with the two, you have to put them in one report so that comes and then you use voice votes. The others that there was no unanimity will have to be put on a different report. That will also come, but that will have to go through secret balloting. And that's what we are doing. So you see the chairman has laid the first bat, which is those with unanimity that we can deal with probably either by Friday or early next week. Then he will then bring the second one that has no unanimity, and therefore we'll have to go through the secret balloting.
So you're expecting that this will come down to a vote, on the floor via secret balloting?
Yes, I mean, our standing orders is very clear. Once the appointment committee could not report to the House recommending unanimously approval, even if one member disagrees, that means you don't have unanimity. And for lack of unanimity, you have to fall on Article 104 of the 1992 Constitution, where if you are putting somebody in office, you are removing someone from office, and you are amending the Constitution, you have to do that through secret ballots.
Do I get it then that when it came to these two judges in question, the majority members were for it and the minority members were opposed to it?
Well, unfortunately, when we were vetting, the minority became majority. I mean, if you look at the report of the committee and the attendance, majority of us on the minority were present. So after they were taking the decision, we were in the majority. But like I said, whatever we'll be doing, it will still remain a recommendation. So it's just a recommendation to the House. So we are recommending to the House that in the case of these two, unanimously all of us agreed that they were fit to be on the Supreme Court. But with the other two, we couldn't all agree. And therefore, we are recommending to the House by the recommendation of the committee, we could not get them vetted and approved by unanimity. And therefore, based on our standing orders, that says that anytime the appointments committee does not agree unanimously, then the House will have to debate and vote on the matter. And if they are able to get majority of those voting, present and voting, obviously then they pass. If they don't, that means they are disqualified from going to the Supreme Court.
About Ernest Yao, the judge in question, are you opposed to him because of his previous affiliation and activity with the MPP?
Well, Evans, because I'm a member of the appointments committee, I mean, I had the great privilege of sitting to vet them, and it was telecast, it was live. It is always not fair for me as a member of the committee to go ahead, even before the report, to now be telling the whole world the details of the committee. We are doing this because of A, B, C, D. That will not be fair to the committee. I can give you the general background that I've given. but it will not be fair to, as a member of the committee, especially a ranking or deputy ranking of the committee, to go into details while we are rejecting one person, we are doing this. I don't think that will be fair to the committee, unless when it comes to the floor, and then we finish, and now it's public knowledge, then we can provide more details. But for now, the committee's report is not before the House, and I don't think it will be fair for me to go ahead to be giving specific details of why we are not going for this person or that person, except to tell you that we couldn't agree unanimously that the other two should go to the Supreme Court, and therefore we recommend that, and then the House take the decision. Those that will agree unanimously is what you've seen the report now. We'll go to the floor if the House agrees with us, because even that, remember, is recommendation. We could go to the floor, and then arguments could come, and members will no, they disagree with us. So it will be voice votes. If it's voice votes and there's confusion about whether the yes or no, which one is bigger, someone can call for head count, and then the head count counts. If the head counts and the majority says they don't disagree with the committee, well, then that means they also fail. So, but that one will end at voice votes and probably head count. But with those that we do not have unanimity, we will have to go into secret balloting.
Since I have you on, a slightly different matter, but still relates to whether or not an individual will continue his position. It has to do with the finance minister. What's the status of this censure motion?
Well, interestingly, today we agreed at the conclave that tomorrow, first thing first, we will continue with the censure motion. And I'm sure tomorrow you'll see the rest of the actions that will happen on the floor. Some of us believe that it is simply going to be the committee coming to tell us that when we met the finance minister, these are the things that he said. So based on Article 82.4, that says that he must be heard. So he's been heard in the committee. So they will just come and tell us that this is what he said. Then the debate continues, and then conclude the debate, and then we'll vote. So that's going to happen tomorrow. Because that's what leadership have agreed this morning at conclave, that tomorrow, after vote and proceedings, that will be the major business, and then we'll try and conclude the censure motion on the finance minister.
So you don't expect to have the finance minister on the floor tomorrow?
Obviously, it's been heard. That's the 82.4. That was our argument was that, so especially someone like me, arguing strongly that I believe that the Article 82.4 meant that he was to be heard on the floor and not at the committee. But the speaker thought otherwise. I said that no, he should be heard in a committee. So they've heard him in committee. So they are only coming to report to us about what he said, so that we, in continuing the debate, will have in mind what his responses were when he met the committee, which the report has been given us since last week. So we just proceed to debate and then vote.
Interesting. But you haven't seen the report yet?
Oh, no, the report was laid last week. It was distributed. And
okay, so every member has it.
Supposed to have
read it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Actually, I can confirm that I have my report. It's in my file. And many members, the whole House were given the report, because once it's laid, it's supposed to be distributed through the pigeonhole. And I want to believe every single member has his copy.
I'm just curious.
His or her copy.
I'm just curious. This committee, we've never seen this like before. You had equal representation from both sides. Just as we've just been talking about what happened at the appointments committee level, did they adopt a consensus position, or was it minority position as against the majority position? How did the report present itself? Well,
the interesting thing is that the committee was to listen to the finance minister and report to us what he says. So they were not to make any recommendation or have some conclusion as to whether what he said is true or not, whether they agree with what he said or not, whether they believe in what he said or not. They were to just report to us with a supporting document that the man was supposed to be heard. The finance minister was supposed to be heard. We met him on this issue. This is what he said. On that issue, this is how he responded. We demanded some other further and better further and better particulars, and he has provided them, so they are attached. So these are his response. Then we added to the report, use it as part of our debating material, and then conclude the debate and then vote.
You are the minority chief whip. Are you whipping your members to the House tomorrow, all 137 of them, in anticipation of a vote?
I can assure you, some people are in Djibouti, they are on their way back. Others are in the U.S., they are on their way back. Others are in the constituency. Everybody is on his way back.
And I know you. You are one who negotiates, try to get, because you need some members on the other side. Have you opened negotiations already, and are you certain you may have some voting with you when it comes to it?
Even you know, this is politics. I mean, I will be the most stupid whip to be telling one of the biggest network in our country that goes around world that this is the strategy I'm adopting. I've spoken to Anodombre on the other side, and he has given to vote. I've spoken to Afenyo Mikins. I mean, I'll be the most stupid whip. But I can assure you that we are putting all our cards close to our chest, and we believe that by the grace of God, tomorrow, by the time we are done with the secret balloting, the finance minister will be out.
You have the confidence?
Well, I'm confident, and I believe that our colleagues opposite, who were up in arms, who started as 80 and moved to 98, will stick to their word. And when it comes to secret ballot, what you are not supposed to show your vote to any other person, it's supposed to be confidential and only personal to you. I want to believe that they will have only they themselves and their God and what they believe.
You haven't received any assurances, have you?
Well, Evans, I don't need to be telling you all this, because between now and tomorrow morning, it's more than 14 hours. And if you speak on radio and tell people what strategy you are adopting, I can bet you they can use 14 hours to unwind everything that you are doing.
Thank you very much, Ekamobar.
Most grateful.
To one of the biggest stories of our lives, the rolling coverage of government's debt exchange program. It is now just 12 days now to the expiration of government's debt exchange offer, and there are now questions around how many institutional investors are taking up that offer so far. As you know already, many institutional bondholders, we now understand, are still exploring their options before making a move. As of today, Bankers Association, the Insurance Association, they've been in meetings all week trying to figure out what to do. One of the suggestions on the table is attempt to negotiate a better offer from government. Government tonight is already asking for calm and says they are ready now to meet agitating unions and of course, have already started meeting some of the institutional investors in a renewed charm offensive to win hearts and minds. Listen to the Deputy Finance Minister, John Kumar.
Of course, some of them were saying they were not engaged, which I agree, because when the engagement started with the pension funds and with the insurance companies and the banks, we started having leakages on social media and kind of some fear and panic in the public that something drastic was going to happen. So we needed to announce, even though we had not engaged potentially everybody. Government has not closed the door of engagement. We'll continue to engage.
Would you engage them?
Yes, we have to engage
the TUC issued a statement today in which they call for calm.
Yes.
And that they are going to ensure that the workers, their members, pensions are unaffected.
Yes.
Will you be engaging the workers?
Engage them, yes.
You say may or you will?
No, we will. We have to. They are a serious stakeholder in this arrangement. And we don't want to take them for granted. But because of the sensitivity of the program, we couldn't have continued to hold on without announcing the details. But it doesn't mean we've stopped engagement. We will continue to engage. And by the time we finish the engagement, I believe that they will understand that this whole program is to their benefit in the long term. And so I want to call on them to be calm and that we should...
When are you meeting them?
I don't have the details now, but I know that government always talks to them. We'll continue to engage.
Well, today the Finance Ministry released a detailed document giving us a clear roadmap to the 19th of December. That is the deadline for all pension funds, banks, insurance firms, and all institutional bondholders to exchange their bonds for one that will earn zero interest next year. The new bonds will only begin to earn 5% interest in 2024 and 10% for the remainder of this tenure. The maturity dates have also been extended, with the first bonds only maturing in 2027. Now, with the deadline now specified, we now have a clear roadmap to it. If you sign on to this, government says you get the benefits and the protections. If you don't, as the Deputy Finance Minister told us yesterday, you are most certainly on your own. I want to speak now to the Chamber of Corporate Trustees of Ghana and the Executive Secretary, Thomas Kwesi Esso, joins us on the telephone line right now. For they represent the corporate body, some of them institutional bondholders, pension funds, etc. Mr. Esso, thank you for your time here on Top Story. So you have up until 19 to decide. Have you decided what to do yet? You said earlier in the statement you reject. I'm pretty sure you're still engaging. What options are on the table for you?
Good evening, Evans, and then good evening to all your listeners. And I want to say a special good evening to all contributors to pension fund schemes in Ghana. Evans, it is true that we have all seen the release of the roadmap and then the deadline given to every institutional bondholder to sign on to the government's new debt exchange program by the 19th of December. Evans, I want to tell you and tell our contributors that our position hasn't changed. We have still not agreed to any debt exchange program from government. And the proposal that the government put on the table, that is 0% next year, 5% interest in 2024, and 10% interest for the rest of the tenor of all the bonds, the corporate trustees of the Chamber of Corporate Trustees and its members have unilaterally rejected that proposal. Because as we stated in our statement, if you take up this proposal will harm the funds for pension contributors and the kind of income security we are all hoping that they get when they go in retirement, that will be affected. So even as of today, as I'm speaking to you, our decision hasn't changed, and we still stand on our position.
But have you engaged government at all to try and see if we can get some consensus?
Even government have not engaged us yet. I believe that when we issued a statement, and when I spoke to your other networks, I told them that we're going to send a letter to government on our position. We have done that. I did that, I think, this afternoon. And then I'm hoping that the Minister of Finance would have seen the letter and then would have also invited us for engagement. We all understand that we are in economic distress and we need a debt restructure. But what we are seeing is that what government have put on the table will be very harmful and will not inure to the benefits of the contributors to pension funds.
Let me ask you, are you hoping to renegotiate the terms or asking for an exemption of pension funds?
Even every card is on the table. I think our first position that we want to present is if we can have pension funds totally exempted, like the way other individual bondholders have been exempted. Because if you look at the structure of the pension funds is a pool of funds of individual contributors or individual workers whose earned income at the end of every month, a portion, let's say 5% of their earned income at the end of every month, has been deducted per the requirement of Act 760 and remitted to corporate trustees to manage. Even though that was our initial position, I think now we have also understood that the country is facing economic distress, and we all need to help sacrifice, like the way the finance minister put it, so that we can all have a certain level that can help the economy to recover again. And so we are also hoping to renegotiate the terms. I think our initial position was total reject, for example, that we are amenable to renegotiating the terms so that we can have at least a minimum requirement that can satisfy our pension fund contributions. Evans.
And do you have an idea yet what terms will be preferable?
Yes, Evans, we have an idea what is preferable to the corporate trustees. That, like as I keep on saying, since we have not had opportunity to meet government and put our terms on the table, we don't want to come out to say this in the media before the Minister of Finance. Respectfully, we want to put that on the table before the media also gets to know about it.
And you've seen today, as we started by talking about the deadline, you have 12 days now for it to expire. Yesterday, we heard from the Deputy Finance Minister, who indicated what will happen at the expiration of the 12th day now, if you still do not sign up. This is the Deputy Finance Minister speaking about what will happen to the pension funds, institutional investors like yours, who refuse to sign up.
You're on your own. It means that you are open to default. You can sue, but in the end, if you sue a man of straw in a broken system, what benefits are you hoping to gain? We may continue like this and crash the entire system.
What's your reaction to that?
Ivan, thank you very much. I've heard the Honorable Deputy Minister John Kuma on his position. I think I heard it yesterday when you were interviewing him, and I watched the full interview also. I think that, like I keep on saying, that position of government is very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate because all of us who play in the financial market actually understand what a default can mean for a country like Ghana. And I believe that our Honorable Minister of Finance is not or does not want to put this country in that situation. I mean, if you default on pension funds, I mean, you know the kind of social security impact is going to create for the whole, for the over 2 million people who are contributing to pension funds. And you know the attempt that what it also do to the attempt to make financial inclusion policy that government have come out with. And I know that our regulators have been doing a lot of things to sensitize, especially the informal sector, to start also contributing towards their retirement under the Act 76. So we all know the implication of this. And I keep on saying that position by the Minister of Finance is very unfortunate because we have come out and said that we all understand that we need a debt-free person. But what they put on the table will never inure to the benefit of contributors. And therefore, we want to renegotiate those terms. And I don't think, and I believe that government does not want to go on this route either.
Thank you very much, Mr. Esso, and he represents the corporate of the Chamber of Corporate Trustees. I want to take your view, 055-1111-997 on Newsnight in a minute.